everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hi. Hello. My name is Kat Haplee. Welcome. It's Tuesday, and we've been getting, for the past couple of weeks or so, pretty cuddly on Tuesdays. And I have here my lovely friend Keeley, who is from the Chicago Cuddle Party community. She's amazing. We're here to talk about cuddling, cuddle parties, professional cuddling, consent, and like everything that kind of goes along with that, even community building, all those kinds of topics. So we're here, we're having a little cuddle sesh, Keeley and I, and we're gonna be talking about everything cuddling. So we're just gonna get right into it. And I would love for Keeley to introduce herself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first Twitch.
Yay!
Like Kat said, my name is Keeley. I am a cuddle therapist. I am a boundaries and consent educator. I am a co-owner and director of development of Cuddleist. I was one of the founders of Cuddle Expo, which was the first ever professional cuddlers convention that happened in 2017 in Chicago. And I've been doing this work for over 7 years now, 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
And it's my whole life. My life is cuddling. And that's a pretty cool sentence to be able to say.
Right? That is amazing. And like I didn't, you and I like we like did like cuddle party facilitator training like at the same time, right?
Did we?
I feel like,
what was your number? What's your number?
oh, I don't remember. Like maybe 180 something. I don't remember, but like I remember
I'm
or like 111.
011 or something like that. Or like a 011. Whatever, it has like the beginning thing.
Yeah.
And then but the number is like 11.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember like you and I met each other at a cuddle party, and I feel like if we didn't do the training,
what year did you get certified?
like 2015 or something.
Okay, yeah, that was right around when I finished my certification. So it was close to the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, we were. I think maybe it was one of those. We may have done foundations of facilitation together, and then like all the other stuff you kind of could just do, you know, self-directed,
like independently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, as I am currently, as I apologize for interrupting you, but I am currently modeling one of the tenets of Cuddle Party, which is part of taking care of yourself, and I'm doing that by folding laundry because I dropped under a mountain of laundry. So thanks for letting me be a human in all of my vulnerability and authenticity on your stream.
Absolutely. Like that is such a thing I like to take into a bunch of different spaces that I make. Like, you know, when it comes to, you know, my Twitch streams, right? Like if I'm doing like, I'm going through like stretching or anything like that, I always bring it around to, you don't have to stretch right now if you don't want to. If stretching for you is self-care, please join me. But like, you do not need to stretch right now. You can take a nap during my stream. I don't care. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want, you know? And it's
I
nice.
love the language of it's all an invitation. It's
Yes.
an invitation, and you can if you feel invited, then that is something for you to discern.
Absolutely. It's always an invitation. It's never a command, and then it just allows people to like find their version of it, you know. And that is a really good language. I use it a lot, actually. By the way, hi everybody. Hi Sundry. Hi Rainbow. Welcome. Yeah.
Hi, friends.
Hello. Yeah, it's definitely, I like, you know, there's I've done like flow jams and stuff through Discord, and that was another thing that I love to bring into it. Was like, you know, you can just show up to the flow jams and listen to the music. You don't have to like be on camera. You don't have to be like dancing, you know. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just hang out and like be in community with people. But like, that's just, You're not expected to dance. You're not expected to, do whatever do anything. You could just do whatever you want here. At the end of the day, like, we're just coming together, and that's all that matters,
I thought of you this past weekend because I went to my first ever rave and I flowed with a whip. With a light whip.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting! That's amazing.
It was so fun. I went to Beyond Wonderland,
Ooh,
which is out here, and it was huge. It was 2 days. It was Friday and Saturday. And yeah, I do not know EDM band names,
me neither.
but they had huge people, like global. They have global artists. It was amazing and ginormous. And very, very fun. And I thought of you for sure.
Aw, that's so nice. Heck yeah. Have you seen, but before we get into cuddle stuff, have you seen like my new baby prop?
No.
Like my silk fans? Oh my God. Okay. I have to show you.
Must be, please.
I have done some Instagram videos of it, but I got some silk fans and they're like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh my God, the colors.
Right?
Oh, I love that.
It's my new favorite prop, and I'm really happy about it too because the whip is very much like I don't practice on my left side, so I feel like I kind of fucked up my back a little bit. So I'm a little bit like not doing the whip lately and focusing on this, which requires both of my hands at the same time, so it's a little bit more, what's the word, balanced?
Get that ergonomic going so you don't hurt.
Yeah, I have like an SI joint issue now, which is great. I love it. It's awesome. I gotta do physical therapy and shit. It's amazing.
No way, no.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but we get through it. It just means I gotta like bring out my ab strength and my core strength, and the more I do that, the more of a bubble butt I have. So that's cool.
I mean, happy accidents, right? Happy side effects.
Absolutely. All right. I want to ask. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk about cuddling. And I want to because you have been doing this for a long time at this point. And so what's your mission? Like what is, if people come across you and the work that you do, what do you want people to walk away with?
I want people to walk away knowing something more about their own body, knowing something more about their own experience of their humanity. I know that sounds very heady and like kind of existential, but honestly, the core, like deep in your, like inside of you validation that comes from cuddling, that piece is what I want people to have. That inner solid knowing that they are a good person, that they are a valued and valuable person, that they are important, they matter, and that they are loved. That piece is what I want people to have.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Just like the pursuit of helping other people like love themselves more. And that's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's what this whole, like, me getting into this world, me finding all of this, and dedicating my life to it, it was always from the beginning about how do I love myself the best that I can, and by extension, that's when I can love other people. And I don't mean that in a like very Instagram meme, you have to love yourself first before you can love other people. Like, I don't mean that. Yeah. I mean that having, like, I am the only person in this world who can make all of my needs a priority. Because I'm the only person who knows all my needs. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a stomach bark sitch.
That's okay.
Oh, there's someone? Oh, I must announce to the world.
Look!
Someone somewhere has made a noise. Everyone must know.
Look! Yeah.
Yeah, it was always about that. Like my first cuddle party that I ever went to, I cried for 2 hours. It's a 4 hour event. I cried
Mm.
for half of the event.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. Like it was exactly what I needed. It wasn't because I was like traumatized or anything. It was because I had never in my entire life felt so seen, felt so validated, felt so welcome for who I was. I didn't feel like I had to be something else in order to be good enough to be there. I knew that all I had to be was exactly who I was. And then that opened the floodgates and the doors of like, well, fuck, who am I? If I have
Mm-hmm.
the space and the acceptance to be whoever I am, regardless of what that looks like, then who the fuck could I be? Who the fuck am I? I hope I'm allowed to curse on your stream because I've just
Oh,
done it.
I curse all the time. You're like to a fault. Go for it. That
Yeah.
yeah, that is absolutely beautiful, and like my and for sure my experience too. I went to my first one and I wasn't sure what the heck was going on, and it was just intriguing to me, and I just reading like kind of the description of what the event would be like, it was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like that sounds like something that I need right now as a just freshly out of college person, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a lot of like social life or anything like that. And I was like, this is this is interesting and this is new and I want to go try that. And that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made for myself. And I didn't realize that until I like got there. And
Mm-hmm.
um it was amazing to have somebody remind me that I'm allowed to say no to things. And it was amazing to have someone remind me that I actually can like I can actually enjoy like life's pleasures without feeling guilty about it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
yeah,
Huge.
right?
One of the biggest things for me that like really just like turned on the waterworks that would not stop was my emotions. Like if I'm crying or if I'm upset, I'm not a burden to anyone else. I'm not
Mhm.
inconveniencing or making other people uncomfortable. And that's not my whole life. It was very much like, oh, stop crying, stop crying. Like
Mm.
that was huge in my world. And so it's like, no, you can cry. You're not harming anyone by just feeling how you feel. And I always have felt things so deeply, so intensely. Um, yeah, that was freeing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. Do you consider yourself like a people pleaser? Like, have you been like a people pleasing kind of person?
I am a in recovery people
Yeah,
pleaser. I
absolutely.
do not. I feel very very adequately skilled now to not do that.
Hmm.
So I don't think people who met me in the past 3 years would say that I'm a people pleaser. If
Right.
you met me 10 years ago,
Yep.
absolutely. Tattooed right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm holding you right now, cuddle merch. Feel free to
Yeah.
buy my cuddle merch.
Yeah. And by the way, like if you ever
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
yeah, for real. And like when we're done here, absolutely like post all your links and all that stuff in the chat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm holding it. It's like,
Right. You gotta throw it in there somewhere. um but yeah,
but yeah,
it's
so
the
good.
the people pleasing thing. I think I'm definitely in recovery for that, because I definitely grew up feeling like I was like responsible for everybody else's feelings. Like like there's like, oh, you're feeling bad, I feel like I have to do something about that. And it's weird because it's like a weird feeling of like if you're and I guess this is the the codependency, like just the definition of that. But like if you're feeling bad, that inside I feel bad. You know what I mean? And then it's like almost like I feel like I have to people please, because if I people please for you, that I will feel less bad. You know what I mean? But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time,
Yeah.
that comes with extending myself past who I actually am in the moment. So it's like hard to feel like I'm allowed to have you know, feelings about things, especially ones that are angry, especially ones that are sad, you know, and stuff like that. I feel like I have to.
All the like undesirable emotions.
Yeah, the hard things to feel, and I
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a feeling of like, and it's just the kind of like that good vibes only thing where it's like only the good vibes.
I cannot with that shit. And it's so prevalent in like festival culture. It's so prevalent in also like the woo-woo wellness culture, which I'm really adjacent to.
Yep.
It's like, fuck all of you, stop.
Yeah.
This is not authentic. This is not genuine. You are not doing any of your shadow work. Shadow work is important. And you know what? Every single emotion is created equal. Actions we are responsible for, but our emotions, every single emotion is valuable. It tells you something. It's important to feel and experience, and we have to learn how to utilize and use all of the very healthy emotions. Every single one is a healthy emotion.
Oh, for sure.
Actions can be toxic. Emotions are healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the things, yeah, that is so true though. Like I love that. Actions are toxic, but emotions are healthy. That makes so much sense. And it's like it's like and you know, anger was one of those ones that I had to like kind of understand that I'm allowed to be angry about things because anger teaches us where our boundaries lie. You know, like that is such an important fucking teacher, anger. And it's it's hard when you're like, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to feel this. But when you kind of think about what it really means, when you're angry about something, it means that somebody crossed a line that maybe you didn't realize was there until at that moment.
I like to say I am so grateful for the part of me that feels anger, because that part of me, it's not who I am.
Right.
I am not my anger, but the part of me that feels that anger is the part that is not going to let me get hurt. Right? It is going to fiercely protect me. And I am so grateful for that part of me.
Absolutely. It's like the older sibling who is like, who hurt you? I'm gonna punch them. You know what I mean? Like, and just that sort of energy. Like,
and sometimes it's hard for us to stick up for ourselves. And so when we do get angry, it's really it's a part of us that's sticking up. It's a part of us that says, I deserve to be treated with kindness and respect, and in a way that validates my humanity.
Absolutely.
Like 100%.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, like, so Cuddle Party in itself, I think we've kind of really touched on, like, how cuddle parties, and we can get more into cuddle parties again, but, you know, I think we've touched on how, like, cuddle parties for us were absolutely, like, a self-care practice. Like, like, putting ourselves in Cuddle Party itself is like a lab situation. It's an experimental area, and you can
it was a classroom for me. Like, it was a learning. It was absolutely my growth and development. It is it's the practicum for my growth and development.
Absolutely. That's a great way to describe it. It really is a classroom, and it teaches you so much. And like, for me, it was one of those things where I felt like I needed to go. So like, man, I could just go for, like, I'm having that moment in my life. I could just go for like 1,000,000 hugs right now, you know? And I feel like every time I walked out, it just felt like everything was a little bit more vivid, you know? Everything felt a little more vivid. Like, as well as cuddle parties, like, what are some other ways that you personally like to, like, engage in self-care? Like, what does self-care look for you a lot of times?
Is it therapy?
Yeah! Ding, ding, ding!
Hi, y'all.
Yeah, go to therapy, everybody. It's good for you.
Go to therapy. It's like, go to therapy, though.
Do it.
For a while, I had 2 simultaneous weekly therapists.
Oh.
Because I deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, one, I was working on a certain thing, and we had a certain, like, goal, and I had a different goal with another one. And I was like, I want this amount of support. I want this amount of resources in my life because these are the things that I want to work on, and I deserve to have like someone. If I want to have someone holding my hand every fucking step of the way, then I absolutely get that.
Yep.
I can have that.
Yep. Yep.
And that's for me. I think it's so interesting when people have an idea of therapy as like you only go to therapy if something's really wrong, or you go to therapy if you're so fucked up you need to be fixed. And like I look at therapy as like if someone gave me $100 that week, right? Like that's just a resource. Yeah. Someone is giving me resources so that I can navigate my world easier. It's like, okay, let me also give you a newer car. This newer car can take you places. It's just a resource. I want a therapist because I want things in my life to be easier. And that is a resource that makes things in my life easier.
Yeah, it really does. It really, really does. And like I learned so much from my therapist, and you know, there are just like little snippets of like information that I just take with me, you know, from the just stuff that I've learned over time. Like one of my favorite things I learned from my first therapist was that like the most trustworthy people are the ones who make mistakes. And I was like, wow, like that for me helped me like knock down a lot of like imposter syndrome, about a lot of things. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you felt this. I don't know if you felt this before, like when it comes to, at least for me, like what's the word? Contextually with cuddling. I feel like at one point, like at least as like a cuddle party facilitator, I felt like I was maybe having some imposter syndrome around that whole thing. And because of the fact, and it's like, for me, cuddle party really meant something to me because it was a lot of things that I needed to learn, both for my self-care and both for me, and also for me to take care of other people, to like learn how to take care of other people better. And so like, you know, I was a child once, like I was younger, you know, like I'm obviously like I'm not going to have the best interactions with all humans at all times. But like it was one of those things where I was having imposter syndrome around like, you know, what if, because of the fact that that cuddle party appealed to me because I need to learn those things on like a broad scale, and I have made my mistakes in the past. Like I felt like I wasn't allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like I felt like the whole imposter syndrome of like, I have made mistakes in the past, therefore how can I teach people to not make those mistakes? You know what I mean? And it's yeah. So it's very much a feeling like having that understanding that like the people who make mistakes are the ones that learn and are able to like spread that information farther. That really helped me with a lot of like imposter syndrome and things like that, and understanding that like, you know, I do what I do because I want to, and because like I feel like I'm able to do it and teach people this because I had my own experiences with it, and I wanted to bring that feeling out to other people, you know.
And no one can relate to someone who comes off perfect.
No,
like, I don't relate to those people. I don't feel like we can go and chat it up because what are we going to talk about? How perfect your life is? Because mine isn't. Like, yeah. I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I gravitate towards people who say, this is how to do this because I fucked up and learned that this was the right way. Because I fucked up so many times and this was the only thing that worked. It's like, oh, I can get behind that. Not just like, so this is the appropriate thing. I've never done anything wrong. Like, I don't trust that. I don't trust this.
No.
It's exactly what you're saying. It's 1,000% what you're saying. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't trust people.
I would absolutely 100% rather be around somebody who makes mistakes, and even, you know, in someone who even makes mistakes loudly, you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to someone who's just like, oh, that can't be me. Like, I don't act like that. Like, I don't do, you know, like, I'm just like,
I've been telling her that.
Sorry, Ben's yelling about something. I was like, whoa, distraction. But yeah, no, I would rather hang out with people who make mistakes out loud than, you know, than people who act like they got it all figured out. Cause you don't. You really fucking don't.
You don't. You think, like, if you're acting like you have everything figured out, my friend, I actually don't find those people to be safe people
Yeah.
either. Because there's a disconnect from reality there, and there's for me it's this key thing about resilience. I want to be in community and connection with someone who has resilience towards hardship, towards conflict, towards navigating obstacles. Because if someone has never had an issue and one comes up, are they gonna fucking explode?
Yeah.
Are they going to not? They have have they ever built any of the skills to navigate the way your system is absolutely going to get disrupted?
Yeah.
Reptilian brain, that is the body, it is a fact, that is not optional, it is out of your control. So if you've never experienced that, if you've never made those mistakes, when it happens, and it will, are you going to be an unsafe person to be around because you have no skill of resilience to it?
Absolutely. I just want to re-say what you said just to make sure that I got it, because you like cut out for a good like 3 or 4 seconds there.
Oh, dang.
I know. But if I'm getting what you're saying correctly, it's that the people who are the safest are the ones who, when they're met with something different or something that they don't really know how to navigate, those people at least try, and they use the resource that they have. They try. They navigate it through how they want. But how someone who is perfect is going to either like kind of bulldoze through the problem or just avoid the problem in general, instead of like really being able to like to have like to be able to like sort of see a situation like kind of as a puzzle to put together. You know, and that sort of thing. Is that kind of a good way to reframe that?
Kind of. Again, the piece of safety there that feels really like alive for me is when we navigate conflict or when we navigate challenges as people, our parasympathetic nervous system gets dysregulated, right? Like our heart rate increases, our amygdala acts up, we go into reptilian brain, like we might go into fight, freeze or fawn, right? Our body, when faced with new challenging stimuli or mistakes or perceived danger, because most of the time when we experience mistakes or when we experience conflict, our nervous system perceives it as danger, right? If someone never goes through that, if they have like avoided at all costs, when it finally happens, then they have no skills built, no practice on how do I get my nervous system to re-regulate? How do I navigate this feeling that I'm in danger and not hurt the people around me out of a reptilian brain?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it's like, you know, I can think of plenty of situations where, you know, I've felt that exactly what you're talking about, like that stress response. And it is absolutely very difficult to navigate, you know, and you can't just ignore it, because stuff like that isn't going to go away by ignoring it, you know, and you need to kind of approach it with compassion and being able to learn how to bring yourself back to a more calm state. Like I can definitely think of situations like I know I can definitely feel myself. My body is currently in that like mode where I need to do something. I feel like I need to do something, and then maybe that something is nothing. But like it's the safety, yeah, when it comes to the safety thing, it's it definitely makes sense that somebody who understands how to navigate that particular, like, taking care of yourself in that particular sort of way, what I think would just be a safer person in general. You know what I mean? Because it really lends to them like having empathy for other humans, you know?
Yeah, a really like quick example of where I see this all the time is like internet arguments, or when people are called out for making a mistake, or when people are called out for acting racist,
Yeah.
right? Like if you aren't allowed to ever make a mistake by yourself, like, but you aren't allowing yourself to ever make a mistake, then you aren't a safe person to be around, because if you make a mistake and like accidentally say something racist, right? And I say, hey, that's racist. You got some choices. One choice could be you get that feeling, right? I hope everyone watching this knows exactly what I'm talking about, because I know it vividly, of the like cheeks get hot, right?
Yeah.
Like your cheeks get super hot, and like the tension in like your stomach and in your chest just builds, and there's this like big, like you can't catch your breath of like, oh fuck, like that horrible feeling of like, no, someone's calling me a racist, I'm not, like my world is gonna end. And then you can say, no, I'm not, that's not what, like, you're twisting my words, like you can come at it like that. Or if you have some resilience, if you're allowed to make a mistake, then what you can do is be like, man, this feels really rough, but okay, can you tell me a little bit more? Because I don't understand, but I want to understand because I don't want to make this mistake again. Right? Like those are two different ways of handling that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's wild too, because like because of how like individualizing the internet is, like your experience is so parasocial in a lot of cases. And so like it's tough when you are kind of like, you're also like left to your own devices almost when it comes to dealing with that, and it's not like you're in a group of people and you kind of fucked up, and then but you got people who are around you who are like, hey, like you fucked up, you know, like in that kind of like compassionate but like firm tone of like, hey, you fucked up, you know, like that sort of thing. But like when you're on the internet and you got, you know, things are moving back and forth, and it's just so, you know, you got, if it's on Twitter, it's like you can't even write that much, you know, if it's on this, you got, it's like it's scary, because it's like people will almost perceive or like listen to, or people like, it's like, at least for me, at least first, sometimes I feel like I'll read what other people say almost in like my voice, you know what I mean, like how, like kind of how it's like reflecting through me, instead of it being like that's a human who is like got their own inflection, you know, who are saying this, that, and the other thing. And that's why it's really hard to like convey tone through like text and things like that. And yeah, that's just a really tough feeling to move through. But it really, at the end, you know, learning to navigate that is paramount to being able to like move forward through stuff, you know, and learn from it.
We've kind of like wonderfully stumbled upon a topic, like we're so adjacent to it that we can just pivot over to it so easily.
Yeah, I'd love
to. A topic that we wanted to discuss, of like the ability to make a mistake.
Yeah.
The acceptance and acknowledgement that human beings are complete and complex, fallible, and still deserve dignity.
Yeah.
When we have that for ourselves, when we can give ourselves that grace, we can also we can give others that grace a little bit better too. And that is exactly antithetical. Like that philosophy is antithetical to cancel culture.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, that's God, that whole topic is just, it's such a, it's trendy. Very trendy. But it really is though. It's it's hard to see, you know, like dogpiling doesn't help anybody learn anything, you know, and at the
And
same
it's not, for me, I don't mean to interrupt, but for me, it's not even about like this imperative to help other people learn, because I think a criticism of that, which is very valid, is like it is not anyone who has experienced harm, it's not their responsibility to help other people learn how to not harm again, right? You know what I mean? Which is a
absolutely.
valid criticism. And but so how I reframe it for me is I have an inherent core value of human dignity. I have an inherent core value of respect. And that practice or that cultural paradigm of cancel culture, what happens with that is antithetical to those core values that I have and the core values that I believe are the most beneficial in society.
Yep. Yep. It's you know, just because somebody just because someone, like, okay, you have perceived that somebody has fucked up, like that you feel very strongly that this person is fucked up, that does not negate their like right to say boundaries, you know, that doesn't negate their right to say like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with you right now, and it could be like this, that, and the other thing they may not understand, or they're just trying to understand that you haven't gotten there yet, and so it's difficult to watch people just like completely shut down anything from anyone, you know, and not allow them to like really grow through something with the help of their community, because it becomes like everybody in a community becomes like the judge, you know, and the judge and the executioner in situations where people fuck up.
And that you bring up a really good point of like referencing judge and executioner, because cancel culture, I'm taking a quick tangent from my point. We'll get back to my
Please
point.
do.
But um, I want to take a moment in a second to define what I mean by cancel culture and how it differs from my definition of accountability. It's really important for me to define those so people know what I'm talking about when I say those things. And I will get back to those definitions. So what the original point that I was going on with was, you said that it's like a judge when communities become judge and jury and whatnot. Cancel culture, that paradigm that we're seeing, especially in these parasocial relationship contexts, is very much rooted in white supremacy and in colonizer mindset. Because the idea of punishment, our judicial system in the way that we conceive of it now, is rooted in white supremacy and in colonizer mindset. And people aren't really ready to have that conversation, because by engaging in that kind of punishment model, you are perpetuating white supremacy. And people aren't ready to have that conversation.
And, you know, it's like, that's actually that's really interesting to me, because as far as as far as I understand the historical, historical in the sense that like past decade or whatever. So like, as far as I understand the term canceling, that it's as if like something was warped, because as far as I understand the word canceling comes out of the Black community talking specifically about like companies that they're boycotting. Now I may like get that completely wrong, but that's what I've heard, that it used to be like literally like a company did this, well, this other thing, or it's just like not a you just don't want to support them, so you cancel them. It's like a big company. It's not like an individual or anything like that. It's just a way to talk about boycotting. And for some reason, it has warped over time, because a lot of things get this would be considered recuperation. I guess maybe I think it's considered recuperation, but just the idea that like this has been warped into something that we use to exile people, like just individuals in communities, you know, and it like
was never meant to be a community moderation tool.
no.
Canceling was never meant to be applied to communities.
No.
The original, and I still stand behind like canceling the Harvey Weinsteins of the world.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck
to
them.
fucking people.
Yeah.
People in positions of unchecked power absolutely
Yeah.
deserve to be held accountable. And unfortunately, because they're in a position of unchecked power, in those instances, accountability very closely resembles canceling and exile, because it is the only, it is the last resort of an entire population that is being subjugated by these people in unchecked power.
Absolutely.
Right? That is the context under which any of this shit applies. So I hate the rebuttal when I say shit like I am against cancel culture. People are like, oh, you're a right-wing asshole. And I'm like, I get why you say that, because you do hear like right-wingers being like, this country has been ruined by cancel culture.
Yeah.
What they mean is that they don't like seeing the paradigms of white supremacy and patriarchy being challenged and come to light. That's what they mean.
Right.
What I mean is I don't buy and I do not subscribe to the community model of shunning, exiling, or excommunicating people from community because of mistakes that they have made. You can hold people accountable, and as long as they still have a path to community, if they choose it, if they are willing to be on that accountability path, they always should have a path back to community.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. And okay, so here's one way to think about it. If you think about it from like the perspective of, say, capitalism and and how, like, okay, so you and I both know, like, we are content creators. Like you know, I've watched your, you know, your social media. You know, you are very much like a content creator, and you do a lot of stuff on the internet. And there's like this, and so when you would understand what I'm talking about. Like, there is something called social capital, right? Like there's like this that social capital of like, oh, these many people like know me, or like, you know, support me or whatever, and that's capital. And so when you think about like what this mode of you know, retribution or punishment does, it shifts social capital from one person to the next, or completely removes social capital from a person. And when we are in an environment where we like kind of reward the people who have the most capital, either it's, you know, actual money, or if it's social capital, or if it's this, that, and the other thing, or just something that, you know, is of like a value or an asset that they have and or provide, it's really concerning, because it's like people are in a weird way. It's like people are, maybe a weird way to describe this, but like you're applying like market dynamics to individual human beings.
Yeah.
Like, I'm boycotting you now, and all of us are boycotting you now, and it's like, that's not what boycotting is for. Like, you know?
Right.
And so
boycotting is a reactionary, what's the word I'm looking for? Boycotting is applicable to the fucking capitalist hellscape, late stage capitalist hellscape that we live in.
Yeah.
It is not a way of creating healthy community. It is
No.
not a way to do that.
No, absolutely not. And the communities that are going to be the strongest are the ones that have like resilience, and the ones who are able to
Yes.
like interact with each other in a way where you can be it's
Human,
like a kind of like human, and there's like a dialectical like way to approach it where it's like you have all of these different parts of you, and just because there is this one thing that you may have said or just one mistake that you made, that doesn't negate all of the other good parts about you and like the what you bring to the table. That doesn't change the fact that like I care about whether or not you get hit by a car tomorrow. You know what I mean?
One thing that I see, and so here's maybe a good moment to define what I mean by cancel culture and like what are the hallmarks of it and what and how does it differ from accountability. So when I say cancel culture, when I reference it as it appears in communities, it's this there's a formulaic pattern to it. Someone identifies that they have experienced harm. They feel powerless, whether or not the power dynamics of the circumstance are such that they are not in the position of power or not. They feel powerless, and in order to regain a sense of power and control over their world and environment, they announce publicly, and that's key. It has to be as many people in agreement with them as possible that this other person is harmful.
Right.
And it's not that they have done an action, it is that they are labeled a static identity.
Right. Yeah.
One of the reasons why that is so harmful and so antithetical to community building is because it lacks every instance of nuance, and it lacks the understanding that you just brought up of human beings are not one thing.
Yeah.
Human beings are monoliths. Human beings are not single identities, right? And so that goes all the way to no one person is someone who just has done harm, right? Or another person as a stamp of identity, it was harm. That is a spectrum.
Yeah.
That is contextual for and nuance. That is a discussion.
Absolutely.
That is a subjective experience that has some objective impact, but is a subjective experience. So when that label gets placed on a person, it then, as you mentioned, social capital, it then becomes this bigger than any individual conversation, bigger than any grounding in reality or nuance, just flood. It is shunning. Anyone who associates with the person who has been labeled, stamped with this person who has done harm identity, no one can associate with them, lest that person also be canceled by association. We know that shunning as a practice is absolutely harmful and re-traumatizing. That's one of the biggest criticisms of cultures like the Amish, right? Because we know, we have the data, we have the evidence-based research that says that as a community model, the practice of shunning is more harmful to community, to the entire community, not even just the person being harmed, to the entire community, than it is than many other models of community-based accountability.
Yeah. Right.
And so when that happens, that person who has done harm ceases to be a human.
Yeah.
They are just now this label that they have. Sometimes they don't even have this option, but the only option they have is to like scrape their belly along the glass and grovel until the person who was harmed feels in control and powerful enough to bestow upon them retribution.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is not a healthy model.
No.
That is not a healthy way to navigate anything.
No, it like makes you think of like cults sort of community, dynamics. And that, like, in the cults, if you are seen as like a non-believer or someone who is just not, you don't toe the line somehow, you are not like the cult is not allowed to interact with you. Someone who leaves the cult, that the person who leaves the cult, to them, like that person is absolutely setting healthy boundaries for themselves. But the cult that they left is like, it's almost as if like they feel like, they've lost control of you, because once you've set that healthy boundary between you and that rest of those people, they understand they're no longer in control of you, and so at that point they have to control everybody else around that human who is shunned. And it's like, in order for that human to be part of the community, they have to re-toe the line. They have to give up that part of them that was angry about something. You know what I mean?
And that brings it to the key. What cancel culture, or this shunning thing that we've adopted, it's not about reducing harm. It's not about showing compassion to anyone. It's not about justice. It's about control.
Yeah.
That's what's at the heart of it. The value system that perpetuates is one of punishment and control, not one of community, relationship, and human dignity.
Yeah, it really is about control, and it's about it. It's just, yeah. I really don't know how else I could like add to it, because that's absolutely what it is. It is absolutely about control. It doesn't help anything, and when you have such a narrow idea of how a human can be, you're gonna eventually kick out everybody, and then you're not gonna have a community. Yeah. Like that's
what it creates is like the people. Then there is this low grade perpetual fear, right? How it creates and breeds more toxicity in community is that everyone who wasn't canceled, everyone else who took part in it, who was adjacent to it, saw that a person made a mistake, and then this fucking hellstorm happened. So then, bringing it all back around, it becomes inconceivable and impossible for someone's safety and stability to ever make a mistake. If you can't admit you made a mistake, you cannot grow, you cannot be authentic, you cannot be honest, because to be human is to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And when you create a community where making a mistake is more dangerous than coming to the community for support, you have a toxic community. And I'm going to grab a drink of water real quick.
Oh, go for it. Please do. Please do. How's everyone doing? Give me a 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm having a shit day, with 10 being I'm having a fucking great day. How are you doing in the chat? Hi, Ambient. Hello. Hello, everybody. If I haven't said hi to you. Hello. Hi. This is Keeley. By the way, I want to reintroduce. This is Keeley. Hello.
Hey, we're just about some heavy shit, but it's good shit.
Yeah, this is really awesome stuff to talk about. Like, and I love this topic because, I mean, like, I felt that anxiety. I have absolutely felt that anxiety of like, wow, like I've watched how people treat each other when they make mistakes, and so I feel like I am unable to. Like, I am very scared, and like then it's like, oh gosh, like I have to be perfect all the time, and it's just like I feel like perfection has been projected onto me by like this, seeing this shit happen all the time.
Space in those spaces. I don't want to be in those communities.
Yeah. Like, I've been all over like Left Book, like just all these Facebook groups. For anyone in the chat who doesn't know what Left Book means, it pretty much just means like any Facebook group that like is just at its core gives a shit about not being, an asshole and like bigoted. Like, that's pretty much what it is. But like, there are so many of those groups where they don't have that sort of like community healing sort of like what's the word, philosophy around things. And so like somebody says something that somebody doesn't like, everybody's fucking dogpiling onto this situation. And you can't even say like, you know, hey, like I mean, I hear you, but like I can't even like think right now with all the notifications that are coming on my phone. And it's like y'all are just yelling all the time instead of actually like taking a moment to be like, okay, this is how we're gonna move forward from this. And it's just like those groups eat themselves, you know, they just eventually eat themselves. And it's like, how are you supposed to build community when you can't even fathom that like other humans are different from you, and just like and you know, you just need to kind of like start building bridges in that way for like people to actually like learn, you know. And yeah, it's definitely, it's so anxiety inducing, it really is. And it just makes it hard, especially on the internet. Like I feel like it's mainly more of an internet phenomenon than it is like an IRL thing. And it just makes it hard to put yourself out there, you know, and like be able to like.
The reason why it's more of an internet thing than it is an IRL thing, it happens sometimes in communities, but the reason why is because it is way easier to deny someone's dignity and to deny someone's humanity when you don't have to see them in person.
Yeah, that's so true. That's absolutely true. You just like that's just a name and a profile you can block, you know, at the end of the day. And right? It's like that's not that's not
because
a human.
How much harder is it to say this person's a predator if they are in front of you crying their eyes out? You see their emotion and being like so scared and so sorry and so regretting, like the whatever choice it was or whatever decision they made, and pleading like, I'm so sorry, please. You can't do that anymore because you see the humanity,
right?
And I'm not saying everyone has that reaction. There are absolutely people who are not interested in taking any kind of accountability.
No remorse.
There are absolutely people who, when faced with accountability, when faced with the results and the impact of their actions, say, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to keep doing this, and I don't care what you say, and I don't want to be in community with those people. That makes total sense, to not want to be in community with those people. And those people are way more rare. Than what it's way more rare. And I will say this as someone, like, I want to bring some context to this. I am a person who, for my entire living, my entire livelihood is based off of cuddling strangers. Primarily men I've never met before. Okay? That is my day-to-day thing. In the way that people perceive the world, I should be dead 1 billion times over. And I'm not. And the number one question I get asked as a cuddle therapist or professional cuddler, bringing it back around to our topic today, is how do you keep yourself safe? And it goes right back to that perception of, like, people, it's so hard to continue to see people's humanity and the context that they're in and the nuance when we live so much of our lives in these extreme static identity spaces.
Oh, and you know, like, and there's one more point I want to make, and I would love to like definitely circle back to like just professional cuddling kind of more in depth. And also it's I don't know when exactly we started, or at least like when we got to talking. It's been about an hour, so maybe like is 9:45 Central a good time to stop? I feel like we're on a roll. Or do you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, and it's been about an hour, so let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh, the static identity thing is so fascinating, and like that's a really interesting point that you bring up, because like, oh, that also kind of talks about, like, that also kind of like brings up more conversations about capital, in that identities. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jasper! Hey, hi, Jasper. Thank you so much for the sub, you sweetheart. Thank you. I'm grabbing a beat right now. So that's really fascinating to me that you would say that, like these static, like, identities, because, like, when you think about, there are absolutely identities that are sold to us. There are identities that are profitable, and there are identities that, like, we get sold as a product. And so, like, for instance, like, being a Star Wars fan is a identity that people, that, like, Disney is able, or whoever's got the IP, Disney or whatever, can sell to you. Like, you like, you can have this identity, just like, that is a product that you can kind of buy. And then, like, when we think about, like, how a lot of people on the internet are, like, content creators, or, like, have their own brand and things like that, like, those are also, like, identities to be sold. And so the fact that you just brought up, these kind of, like, these single identity things, it's like, that just, to me, sounds like more market dynamics. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like more that people are now products to purchase and not humans. You know what I mean? Now your personality is now a product. The things that you like are now a product. The way that you act is now a product. And it doesn't allow you to be a human. It just is like, now people can choose to boycott the product. And it's like, it's a bummer. I hate the idea that, like, humans could be treated as just another, box on a shelf at this point. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I do a lot in my work, and how the cuddling shows up in couples, is with this idea of static identity versus being present in the moment and desire. And I'm doing a whole series on my socials this week, actually, so it's really apropos of it's timely. But one of the things that people will get hung up on, and it's because of this phenomenon you're talking about, is like these things that are static parts of their identity, or sold to be static parts of their identity, but they are addressing how they feel in the moment. For instance, like, if you're a person, one of the easiest things, like, I like cookie dough ice cream.
Yeah.
Right? As an identity, but not as a, what am I interested in the moment right now? What am I actually feeling? Actually, what I want right now is some lemon gelato or something like that, right? Like, but no, I am a person who does this, and couples do this a lot, or people do this with touch. Like, I am a person who like, identity, likes back scratches, or my partner loves foot rub, right? But if we just look at people as these static identities and don't check in the moment, you get so much, especially with people who are coupled or who have different partners and are trying to navigate relationship dynamics. It's like, I went up to you and I gave you a foot rub and you rejected me, and I'm doing something so nice for you, and I still get rejected. And it's like, but there wasn't any attention to, or space for, or acknowledgement of, but what's appropriate in this moment? What feels good in this moment? Who are you right now?
Yeah.
And not these static identities. So,
yeah, I want to address Anko. What Keeley is meaning by static identity, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that I'm perceiving what you might mean by static identity is like literally just almost like a box. It's like a box that you are putting yourself in, or like another person in. It is not like, we're talking about, like, not like necessarily your identity, but like your identity as an immovable idea that can't possibly ever not be the case, or always has to be how you are perceived. That's kind of like what I'm getting from you on that.
Yeah, it comes from humans' very strong desire and an adaptive trait of pattern recognition, right? Like, have you guys heard, like, or seen all the memes of, like, humans are just pattern recognition machines on hyperdrive?
Yeah.
Like that, and that's why humans like static definitions, meaning they don't change. They want to label things.
Right.
When they label something, then they know how to file it. And if you can file it, then you can accurately fire things into the box marked danger, and then you can avoid that box.
Yep.
Right? And so that's the adaptive trait that human beings are drawn towards. I want a simple definition so that I know where I can put this thing, categorize it, so I can identify patterns, so I can make sure I'm safe. Because if I can identify the pattern, then all the patterns that are marked danger, I can avoid. But that's the adaptive trait. And that's why we have this impulse. That's where some of this impulse comes. And it's what capitalism capitalizes on. It's like, great, humans want to do this thing. Let's turn it up to 10 and make money off of it.
Absolutely.
So, but what it doesn't do and what it doesn't allow for is human beings are way more complicated than that. Human beings, emotions change every moment. Their bodies change every moment. Your context, the context of the world changes every moment. And so you can't just stick a label on something without looking at the context, without factoring in the current moment, without checking in to see when it changes, if it's changed, how much has it changed, the degree of it. Like that is hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what to do with all that. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's work. And we as human beings don't want all that work. We want the label and move on.
Yeah, and it's like
that's not accurate.
Yeah, and so just to kind of go back to that example that you were saying before, like, you know, you got a couple who, like, one person is like, you know, I want to give you a foot rub. The other person is like, you know, no, I don't want that. And so the person wanting to give it is like, but you're the person who loves foot rubs. Like you like, it's like you are the person that, instead of being just a person who currently wants that. You know what I mean? And it's like understanding that, like, your partner has changed. Ellie, you know, just generally they're like, oh yeah, I am typically like, I do love a foot rub typically, but you know what, right now it's just not for me, you know, and that's okay. And like, then the other person is like stuck with this, like, oh God, this is new, you know, and there's no like kind of curiosity about like, oh, like you've changed, like interesting, you know, and it's difficult because it does. I can imagine it does have an impact on what like people feeling not necessarily safe, but well, yes, maybe safe, but more just like it is harder overall. It is work, you know, to kind of see somebody in the present moment, you know, instead of like kind of having an idea of what you want them to be or what you think they are. That is work, you know.
Yeah. And my job part of my life is based in the platonic realm, right? But one thing that I see a lot that can, like, my work can influence in people's personal lives is like, you hear, it's so common of like this when
you cut out. Sorry. When couples okay, wait. I think you're good now. Okay, try it again.
Yeah, when couples have trouble.
Oh, it's definitely okay. Just give it a moment. All right, try it again. When couples Yeah, you sound like a little bit of a robot, but like, okay, I think you should be good now. It's just my internet.
I want to.
Yeah, it's I can't hear a darn thing you're saying. Oops. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna. Oh, okay, yeah, that works. Yeah. It might be an internet thing. It might be a microphone thing. I don't know, but yeah, it might.
Try.
Yeah, we'll see if the microphone helps, but it might just be my god-awful internet, so. Hi, Bod, nice to see you. Hi, Wanderwild. Proof, she is now robot, proof against static identity. Okay. Okay, it's still like I think an internet issue, but I mean just keep going and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay.
Because of that, because of the thing that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like they don't really know how to like navigate that, and it's like, what are you the same person that I thought I was dating? And then like for me, like my experience about that would be like, am I doing something wrong? You know what I mean? Because if it's like, oh, like you said no to the thing that I know that you really like, did I do something wrong? Like, are you mad at me? Like that sort of thing. And that's hard. That's a hard thing to deal with. But really, no. Like the case is that that person is just different in this moment, and that they're not like a different person. They're just they have different needs right now, you know. And I like it's on.
And we can bring it back around to cuddle.
Yes, we can. Let's talk about like there is one topic that I know is someone rapping in the chat? All right. Thank you for your bars. I think somebody just dropped bars in the chat. And you know what? Frankly, that's fine. Thank you. I'll take anything that's weird but not asshole. There's one topic that I do want to get to because it was specifically asked for by somebody in my community. But in the context of cuddle party, and I'm sure this obviously comes into professional cuddling as well, how do cuddle professionals deal with sexual urges, popped boners, things like that? How do cuddle professionals go about that? Like, what's the philosophy around that? Oh,
I'm going to try to answer this, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
First of all, I want to validate human bodies. Human bodies doing what human bodies are designed to do is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Let's celebrate that first and foremost. Yeah. Again, we talked earlier about emotions versus actions. What your body just does is fine. It's equal. Like, it is not a bad thing. It's what you do then. It's how you act then. So if someone pops a boner, okay, awesome. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah. We're not going to act on it. We're not going to do anything else. Honestly, with a couple of deep breaths, it dissipates if you don't have the intention to do anything with it. Because your body's like, oh, I know what we're doing. We're not doing that? It's all right. Like, that's just how your body does
it. Yeah. Yeah. It's, and you know, there's that idea that, like, you know, if because there's like an intention to the space, like cuddle parties, professional, there's an intention that it will be non-sexual. And we could go in, like, I don't think we have time to really go into the nuance of this, but like, you know, there's a kind of societal like blurring of the lines between like cuddling and sex, in that, like, you know, I think a lot of the people who, at least people that I talk to, you know, about this kind of stuff, they are like, how does it not like devolve into sex? Like, how does it not become an orgy? Like, what are you guys just, I'll say cuddle party, like, oh, so what, an orgy? And I'm like, no. like literally, like, it's non-sexual. And so there's this like intention for the space, and then what you're gonna do, like what you're doing is like making actions that support the intention of the space. And so if this particular cuddle position is like turning you on, then maybe that's not the one, You know, maybe that's just not the one that you should be doing. And there's another one that you can do. And so, yeah, like just the way that cuddle perfect, at least like me as a cuddle party facilitator, like, you know, we will acknowledge, like, yeah, that's chill, just don't act upon it, you know, because at the end of the day, like, you can't control that. And like, you can't, I personally do not want to micromanage whether or not you find somebody else attractive. Like, that's not in my pay grade. Like, that is not my job.
It's not our business. Honestly, what's in someone else's head is none of my business.
Absolutely.
Like, we are not thought police.
No.
Right? Like,
No.
that is not a healthy dynamic for anyone, because thoughts are not actions.
Yeah.
And so I also want to bring up this concept of, like, just because a person hasn't experienced something yet doesn't mean it's impossible. I bring that up because some people I see, like, in the chat, and this is a really common rebuttal of, as an adult, every single time I have ever cuddled, it has led to sex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
That is a cultural norm that we experience here in America. That's not even a cultural norm in other cultures. I do want to also point out that is a very white Eurocentric thing. That we cannot cuddle without having sex. It's puritanical origins, right? Mm-hmm. So just because that hasn't happened for someone in a long time doesn't mean it's impossible. And what I say to that is, the more you, like, if we want to neuroscience geek out on some shit real quick, neuroplasticity. If you've ever heard of what neuroplasticity is, it's the understanding concept of when you have certain emotions and they're repetitive, the more you make those certain neurochemicals, the more your body is likely to continue to make those neurochemicals in those same situations.
Yeah.
So, and you also have what is called somatic memory. And your body has somatic, it's an adaptive quality. So if, as an adult, every time you have cuddles, it has led to sex, your body will start doing the thing, like get an erection or provide yourself with lubrication internally, right? Like, it will start doing the thing because it has somatic memory. It knows what it's supposed to happen next based on patterns.
Yeah, it's like a Pavlovian response, essentially.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly. It's Pavlovian for sure. It's exactly the same principles, right? But that does not mean that you have to, like, ring the bell.
Yeah.
Right? It does not mean that you have to go anywhere. You're just not practiced in stopping. And that is just a practice.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the things that we do in Cuddle Party is help people. Because it's understandable. Like, that, I want to have a lot of, and show and demonstrate a lot of empathy for why that would be challenging for someone. Right? There is a lot of biological, like, pathway there. But it's not impossible to, especially with a little guidance, to be like, oh, here's the other option that you haven't been presented with. Yeah. Try it out. See what that feels like. You might really like that. Mm-hmm. What I find in my 6 years of doing this shit professionally, full time as my career, is when you are able to make the conscious decision of whether or not a cuddle is going to be just a cuddle or a cuddle is going to be foreplay, when that decision is intentional, both end results are better than when it's just habit. Like, the sex is better and the cuddles are better when you're intentional about it.
Absolutely. That's so true. Like, when you got, and when pretty much everybody is consenting and are on the same page about where it's going to go later, it's just so much more satisfying. It is so much more satisfying, and it's a lot easier to navigate because you already figured out what the end result's going to look like, you know? So you're not like, you're like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize, like, you put up the fences so you know exactly, like, where you can play in the situation. I like kind of like a talking about, like, professional cuddling. So, like, we've talked about, like, cuddle parties, and if you're just kind of, like, joining us, like, if you want to kind of an idea of, like, what a cuddle party is, like, it's just essentially a consent workshop. So people get together and learn about consent, and they can touch. They don't have to touch if they don't want to, but you just like participate in non-sexual cuddling with someone who might be a stranger to you or someone who isn't a stranger to you. And it's like it's a kind of social event, workshop kind of thing. What Keeley also does is professional one-on-one situations, where she will go deep, more deep into what this client is looking for and stuff. And I'm very curious, like, what if you had to kind of like think about like the average person who comes to you, what are they looking for? Why are they getting professional cuddling?
Yeah, that's so hard to answer.
I'm sure it is.
It's so hard because everybody, like literally everybody, every like walk of life comes to me. So I'll tell you some demographics that are common.
Okay.
Right? One demographic is a person who is going through a relationship transition, whether they've lost, like are dealing with grief from the passing of a loved one, or a significant other. That is when a lot of times I'll see clients. When there's a divorce or a breakup, I'll see clients in those instances. It's a really great way if you're not, like, there are so many reasons not to be ready and not to want to get into a relationship right after a breakup. And it still feels really good and helps you get through it. Some cuddles.
Yeah.
Or some support and some validation and some human connection so that you don't go back to your awful ex. Right?
Yeah.
Like if everyone was assigned a cuddle therapist after they broke up, how many, oh no, I texted him at 2 a.m. would be saved?
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Like,
so relationship transition is a big one. People who have really high demand, high pressure jobs, that's really, really big. High demand, high pressure jobs mean often less time or less emotional capacity to maintain deeper relationships because so much of their emotional capacity and their time is being spent towards that career. So I see a lot of people, because then one of the great things about professional cuddling or cuddle therapy is because we set an established understanding. Like, you do not have to take care of me. I am taken care of. It's my job to, and the reason why I'm good at what I do is because I take care of all of my needs. I am good. I am set. If I am in a session, it's because I 1000% want to be there, want to connect, and have capacity to do it with zero expectation that that person is going to maintain any kind of like emotional effort on my part, right? Like, I won't expect a text back. I'm not expecting them to remember my birthday. I'm not expecting them to like sit with me while I cry. Like, none of that. They don't have to do any of those things that would be emotionally taxing and are often, when people have capacity, they're often rewarding. They don't have capacity for it. That capacity is going somewhere else.
Right.
And they still get all of that like really important like relationship or human validation, that emotional intimacy that they need.
Yeah.
That's a good demographic. I see a lot of people recovering from trauma. That's kind of where a little bit of my niche is. A lot of people who have trauma around touch, who are trying to navigate it, trying to make touch more comfortable. I have a lot of people who are neurodivergent on the autism spectrum or on the autism spectrum in some way, or have different sensory challenges. So they still want and need that oxytocin production. They still want and need cuddles, but because either social interactions are really challenging for them to navigate for a myriad reasons, or because their sensory input is so needs to be addressed so that they're not being overwhelmed by other sensory input, and so they can just like actually experience cuddles without going into overwhelm. That's something I do. Another really big one is I teach people who are traditionally socialized as women how to even identify where their boundaries are, or learn how to find them out. Because people who are traditionally socialized as women are often socialized in a way where they are told to be appeasing. They're told to be pleasant. They're told to accommodate others. They're told to caregive for others at often the expense of their preference, their comfort, their safety sometimes. And after growing up or experiencing the world from that environment, the impulse, the survival impulse to ignore where our lines, limits, comfort edges, boundaries are, is that skill is overworked.
Right.
And so to stop doing that, to even listen to where our boundaries are, becomes really hard. And so I specialize in helping those people get back to, how do you listen to that? How do you find that out? How do you set those boundaries that are much healthier for you? So, yeah.
That's such important work. Like, I think that, you know, the main takeaway that I think everybody should get from this conversation is that, like, there is, and one of the things that I learned, that I think that I take with me from Foundations of Facilitation was, like, there's always that third option. You know, like, where we always feel like we're stuck between two options that don't sound good to us. There's always a third option. And life is way more complicated than a lot of people make it out to be. And you can create the life that serves you and makes you feel like comfortable and well. Oh my gosh. Like, whoa. Thank you so much, Jasper. Thank you for the 3 gift subs. Thank you, you freaking sweetheart. Thank you. I noticed the one earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. Thank you so much, Jasper, for the 3 gift subs, you freaking sweetheart. Let me see where we are on the bead bracelet. This is a thing that I do, Keeley, where every sub we put a bead, on the bracelet, and then once we get to 25, I send it out to somebody. Let me see where we are at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 4 more until we send out the next one. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you. We are at about like 9:43. So I want to respect your time. We can pop out right now if you'd like, or if you'd like to take any questions, we can also do that as well. You choose your own adventure.
I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, do we have any questions? Anybody in the chat have some burning questions before Keeley leaves us for the night? Oh my god, like, I know, like, watching Keeley, like pet her dog is honestly like some visual ASMR for me. Like, it's so like soothing to watch. Hi Sky, hello, nice to see you. It's so good to see you. All of you in the chat, thank y'all for being here.
Indiana is happy to be a Scritches and Pets model.
I want to ask so much, but well, Jasper, you know, if you want to like follow Keeley on socials, like, you know, Keeley's comment section is probably a great place to ask questions moving forward. So, you know, on Instagram, you are Chicago Cuddle Therapy. All right, is it the same on TikTok?
Yeah, Chicago Cuddle Therapy pretty much everywhere.
Okay, cool.
TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are where I'm most active. I'm totally stopping Facebook.
Yeah, fuck that.
I also have a Chicago Cuddle Therapy Twitch that I've not ever Twitched on before because I just this is my like.
This is you get your feet wet
and being like, I'll show you the ropes if you are interested, because I'm like, this thing is cool and you do this cool thing and I don't know how to do this cool thing. Can we do this?
Yeah.
And
so
I was like, oh,
yeah. So we're the part of this has just been like, you know, having Keeley on to get her feet wet. You know, and the live streaming Twitch world. So if you're interested in any streams that she might be doing in the future, you know, Chicago Cuddle Therapy on Twitch as well. Let's see. Jasper wants to ask, any advice for a cis white male who is not sexually motivated but just wants cuddles? Like, are you? I just want to confirm. Are you kind of asking like, how to navigate like receiving cuddles from people, like, or like dealing with like maybe people's assumptions about who you are? And then another question was, have you had issues advertising your services online since new laws have come into play?
Yeah, fuck Fosta Sesta.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you advertise you're not a fuckboy? Jasper, you say it. Also, it's really helpful. So I love that you acknowledge where your identities are, and knowing that there are going to be blind spots and trying to work on like, how do I identify my blind spots? It's what I do as
Oh, you cut out again. Keely, you cut out again. I'm so sorry. We might have to. If you want to type, go for it. Otherwise,
just email me.
Okay, yeah. Where can they?
Answer.
Yeah, where can they email? Can you put your, is it Chicago Cuddle Therapy or whatever at Gmail or? Yeah, what is, if you would like to email Keely any questions, if you have anything that comes up like after, the talk tonight, and, just throw them her way. She'll answer them. Yeah.
There's also, if anyone's interested in doing this work, there is a live training in Chicago coming up.
Okay, yeah, you're cutting out one more time, but Keely's pretty much saying that if you are interested in doing professional cuddling, there is a live training that's happening in Chicago. I didn't catch when, but yeah, and the internet's giving me shit today. Man, yeah. In May. Okay, great, awesome. Can you see if you can try to, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you can, like, see if they, try one more time, otherwise we'll just call it a wash and end for the night, but if you can just answer Jasper's question one more time, or just kind of, like, try and do that
I'll try.
one. Yeah. Oh, I think I hear you now, yeah.
You can, cool. Two things, Jasper. One, do, realize that you'll have some blind spots in terms of like where your identities are, and do the best you can to try to work through to find out where those blind spots are. It's the same thing I do being white, right? I try to find where my blind spots are in how I connect with my clients who are of color. So that work will help you. One thing that goes such a long way is voicing and acknowledging what people's concerns might be. Like the fact that you said, hey, I recognize I am a cis, straight, white dude, and I understand the perception of that. I understand why that exists, and I still am interested in just cuddling you if that is something that you're cool with. And a lot of people feel very comforted by the acknowledgement there of just like, cool. So it shows, to me, it shows a level of like, of just like, I feel seen. I feel like you kind of get it a little bit more about why that might be hard for someone, right? And that feels good. So what you did just there, you're like, is great. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense to me. I don't know, Jasper, does that make sense to you? Yeah, that Keely put her email address in the chat, and also she, like we said, she is Chicago Cuddle Therapy pretty much on all platforms. So if you have any questions, or you want to learn more about like this particular work, cuddle parties or professional cuddling, or Keely can even help you find like a cuddle party in your area. You know, she can put you in toward the right resources to find, you know, a cuddle party that's in your area, or you know, a cuddleist in your area, because, you know, they're not everywhere, but there are ways to find them. And so she can help you out with that and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, ask her. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for being on, Keeley. I hope you had a fantastic time. Because I did.
Having me.
Like, this is so much fun, and I love having conversation. I love talking about this shit in general too. Love having conversations like this on my stream. So thank you.
This cannot be the last one.
Yay! Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It will not be. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everybody, I hope that you enjoyed our talk today, and you know, I'm hoping to see Keeley stream on Twitch sometime, maybe. But, you know, come get at me. I can help you set up OBS, all that stuff.
Yeah. I just learned what a raid is, so y'all can come raid me sometime.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. I think I'm gonna actually pop off, and then, like, you know, maybe if you and I want to debrief a little bit, I don't know if that feels supportive to you, or like a nice way to bookend it. And then, so I'm going to pop off. The next time I'm streaming, I'm not streaming on my usual Thursday because I'm seeing, a show, with my mom. So I'm not going to be streaming on Thursday. I might stream over the weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you all so much for being here. And let me raid out to somebody. And I won't be at the raid, so if somebody can just send my regards and say that Kat loves you and thinks that you're pretty, that'd be great. Let me find someone to raid real quick. Oh boy. Let's see. Thank you all for being here. You're all amazing. Who are we raiding? Let's raid. Oh, and here's our raid message.
Good to see you typing. Miss you, bud.
All right, this is our raid message. So go ahead and copy. If you have my emotes, go ahead and use them. If you don't have my emotes, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Just get weird. It's all that matters. Let me find. Who are we rating? We're rating. Oh, let's raid Faye. Let's raid Faye, our lovely Faye. We love Faye so much. She's one of our Flomy homies, so we're gonna go say hello to her. Yeah, let me get that all set up. Faye. It's time to raid Faye. Oh my gosh, let's go. All right. I love y'all so much. You have a fantastic night, okay? Thank you for being here. I love you. I'll see you soon. I'll be around. I'll see you soon. Bye.